The West Philippine Sea Newsletter, Volume 19. Sama-Sama Exercise. Defense Minister doubts China's sincerity, and U.S. to donate a cruiser. This week, the Chinese demonstrated an unusual level of self-control, refraining from major incidents such as ramming ships, beating fishermen, or using water cannons, and instead channeling their protests in different directions over the past week. The Philippines and the West Philippine Sea have still been filled with tension as both sides proceed with military exercises. China conducted a military exercise around Taiwan, encircling it as a demonstration of its military might and in response to a political speech by the Taiwanese president, while the Philippines conducted a naval drill with its allies. The Philippine defense minister questioned China's willingness to adopt a regional code of conduct in the South China Sea, while the Philippine congressman made an intriguing appeal to the U.S. regarding a retiring warship. The Philippine Armed Forces conducted the Sama-Sama 2024 exercise with its international partners last week, coinciding with the Chinese military exercise around Taiwan. The exercise was maritime and involved the Philippines, United States, Japan, and Canada, all of which contributed naval and air assets to it. The exercise featured 3 naval ships from the Philippines, 1 naval ship and 1 anti-submarine aircraft from the United States, 1 naval ship and a helicopter from Canada, and a maritime patrol aircraft and an amphibious aircraft from Japan. The exercise was an interoperability exercise that focused on anti-submarine, anti-surface, and anti-air warfare, all crucial aspects of modern warfare, particularly against potential threats like China. The exercise also included what's called maritime domain awareness, which is currently and directly relevant to the situation the Philippines is facing with China and its disputed claims in the West Philippine Sea over the Philippines' internationally recognized exclusive economic zone. Maritime domain awareness is an understanding of events at sea that can impact security, safety, the economy, or the environment. The Chinese activities in the West Philippine Sea are of significant importance to the maritime domain of the Philippines as they track the activities and movements of Chinese assets in the region. The inclusion of this activity in the Sama-Sama exercise could facilitate the creation of procedures for Philippine allies to provide more information back to the Philippines, which would aid in prioritizing resources and formulating responses to Chinese activities. This communication also helps the Philippines' partners track the location of Chinese assets throughout the Western Pacific. This was likely the most pertinent aspect of the exercise for all the countries, given the Philippines' ongoing tensions with China. One of the priority topics during the ASEAN summit in early October was an open discussion about the tensions between the Philippines and China in the South China Sea. ASEAN has committed itself to negotiating a code of conduct for the South China Sea between ASEAN nations and China. The ASEAN goal was to have the negotiations completed and an agreement in place by 2026. The negotiations have reached a near standstill due to negotiators' inability to agree on even the most basic definitions, such as what constitutes an aggressive act. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. acknowledged this fact and expressed his dissatisfaction with the summit during the summit, questioning the feasibility of the 2026 goal. Philippine Defense Minister Gilberto Teodoro expressed doubts about the feasibility of a code of conduct altogether, citing China's lack of willingness to negotiate in good faith on matters of international law. This implies that China will not sign any binding agreements based on established international law, which it has already rejected. Signing the agreement would self-negate China's expansive geographic claims in the Western Pacific. Minister Teodoro is mostly correct in this regard, but President Marcos must continue to push for the negotiations, demonstrating to regional leaders that he is using all available tools to de-escalate the situation and highlight China as the unreasonable actor in the region. The U.S. Navy announced the retirement of the Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser USS Philippine Sea CG-58 in 2025 as the Navy continues to decommission the Ticonderoga-class cruisers. The USS Philippine Sea was commissioned in 1989, making it 35 years old, and it is in the class of warships that is expected to be replaced by the Arleigh Burke Block III class destroyers and the still under development DDG-X destroyers. Philippine Congressman Rufus Rodriguez from the southern Philippines wrote a letter to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Mary Kay Carlson, requesting that the U.S. donate the cruiser to the Philippines as a demonstration of a U.S. commitment to the Philippines' defense. The U.S. has deployed a Typhoon mobile missile system to the modern Philippines, which is a land-based version of the U.S. Navy vertical launch system consisting of 4 launch cells. The USS Philippine Sea has 2 Mark 41 vertical launch systems with 8 cells each, so the USS Philippine Sea would greatly increase the capability of the Philippines in its militarization modernization efforts. The U.S. has not responded to the request, but there are concerns on the U.S. side that the Philippines do not have the resources to assume the maintenance cost of a 35-year-old cruiser. The Philippines will benefit from not having a blue water navy and having the cruiser operate in its territorial waters. The reduced time at sea would mitigate the legitimate concerns of cost. Reducing hull and engine wear is good, but maintaining an old cruiser also requires maintaining electrical and weapon systems. Another issue is that the Philippines lack the necessary security infrastructure to receive advanced U.S. weapons. For example, the U.S. Army, not the Philippines, is responsible for maintaining the Typhoon missile system in the country, and the Philippines' possession of these weapons requires clearance to acquire them and other advanced U.S. weapon systems. Over the summer, Secretary Austin provided a $500 million grant to the Philippines for the purpose of updating joint bases and enhancing the defense security architecture of the Philippines. This grant enables the Philippines to purchase advanced U.S. weapons, access intelligence, and secure communications, with additional grants to follow. The deployment of a missile cruiser in the Philippines will not alter the regional power balance, but it will significantly enhance the country's ability to strike and, consequently, its deterrence. The Philippines' decision to commit to the diplomatic tract is correct, and its doubt that it will likely fail due to the Philippines' due to China's lack of seriousness in negotiations is also correct. Despite China's lack of sincere negotiations over the South China Sea Code of Conduct, there is no reason for it to refrain from attempting negotiations in good faith. This is a crucial aspect of the Philippines' public relations campaign, as it aims to persuade regional powers to pursue cooperative agreements aimed at modernizing its military and enhancing its interoperability. The U.S. should give serious consideration to the issue of the USS Philippine Sea, as it fulfills numerous objectives for the defense of the Philippines, and it provides an asset that the U.S. Navy would have otherwise been unable to provide. A donated cruiser may not be available for Taiwan's defense, but if China attacks U.S. assets in the Philippines as part of an invasion of Taiwan, those vertical launch assets would become available in defense of the Western Pacific. It would also be a signal U.S. commitment to the Philippines.